I made 50 this year, and it was traumatic for me, you know. And 10 years ago, I have played music all my life, never really out and about in the city, but I said, you know, when I turned 40, I said, I gave myself a self-imposed midlife crisis, okay. I had a recording studio with some friends that I used to go out and do sound for them, guys I'd known from grammar school that, you know, really wanted to make it big, and they wrote some great original music. But, you know, this was playing in bar rooms and playing in clubs and venues, and I was just doing sound. And I've always, you know, just kind of played on my own, and you know, my wife I met through that. She was a secretary to one of the musicians in the band, and she always pushed me to be, she said, you know, you need to listen to Christian music. I was listening to everything but. I grew up in the 70s listening to Led Zeppelin, and when Genesis, and music was great back then. And it's really, what's ironic is having David, who's, you know, David's a close friend, but is almost like a son to me, has brought me to today's standards. But it's funny how he's trying to get everything back. The digital world now wants to get back to the 70s and 80s. And I'm like, why are we going back? We should be going forward, you know? So it's funny. So anyway, but all this to say is my self-imposed thing where I'd worked with a band that came into our studio in 1995, and we recorded. They asked me to play with them, and I'm a guitar player, and I did, and I got to go out and play with Night Before Mardi Gras, Jimmy's Music Club with Marcia Ball, you know, and packed house, and it was great. So 2000, 5 years later, I said, you know, computer industry's coming in. I owned a computer store at the time, and CD burners became available, and I took all our old tapes, put it on CD, and I gave it to everybody in the band because we wrote all original music. And I said, there were songs on there that I wanted to actually record, and, you know, and I thought that would be a good thing. So I told my wife, I said, honey, I said, I can't afford a sports car. I can't afford, I'm not going to cheat on you. I said, I just want to play music. And I kind of made a list of things that I wanted to do. And, you know, playing some clubs, obviously, as you're listening to me, this was all about me. Okay? I wanted to do these things. I wanted to play Tipitinas. I wanted to play the Howlin' Wolf. I wanted to play House of Blues. You know, I made a list of things that I wanted to do. And I took basically a year, got these guys back together. We recorded an album. I've never done a full-length album before. We did that, and in 1 year, I accomplished everything. And what about it was the culmination was, I remember playing at the House of Blues. You know, for a musician, a local musician, it doesn't get any better than that. But we were in our second song, packed house, and I'm in the middle of this song, which is my favorite song of the group, and I have a great guitar solo in it, and I'm thinking, I'm ready to go home. It was my bucket list. Check, check. It didn't fill me. And my wife had talked to me for years about, you know, you need to listen to Christian music. And she took me to see Stephen Curtis Chapman and Audio Adrenaline at LSU Assembly Center. I don't remember what year that was. And I'm listening to these guys, and I'm going, you know, I can do this. And I want, you know, because as a musician, I'm thinking, when you think of Christian music, I always thought of gospel music, you know, and I never really, it wasn't my forte necessarily. So I really got interested. And then we were going to a church across the lake. It was a real small church, very conservative, and the only music there was a piano and a choir, and it wasn't, you know, what you would call contemporary music by any stretch. And I just didn't fit. I felt myself wanting to pour myself into this, because music is a vehicle for our emotions. Um, so we came over here, and we've been living over here for 15 or 16 years now, and we're commuting back and forth, which was tough, especially we have 4 kids. And we started coming over here, and we came to a church over here. It's about a 3,000 member church. And I listened to the music that day, and I said, I like this place. This is more my speed. And it took me about 6 or 8 months before they would let me in and let me start playing. I've been playing ever since. It's been about 8 years. And what God has done, it's playing Christian music. It's not about me. It's not about, when you're playing in a club, you're drawing attention to yourself. In church, when I'm playing to a group of people, and like what you were saying, we're all sinners. And I don't even look up at times, because the eyes of worship, I call it, is so intense that I don't want to be a distraction to anybody. I want to be invisible. But I want to make sure that I don't make a mistake. So I'm playing. But I want to make sure that I'm helping with the worship process. And it's the most tremendous feeling that you can have. It's as you're writing something and as you're telling a story, if it touches somebody, how that makes you feel. Well, in church, and it's about being a vehicle to help them gain heaven, and it's been a tremendous thing. 5 years ago, our worship minister, the original guy that I played with, has moved on to a new church, North Carolina, and we were kind of at a loss. We didn't hire anybody immediately, and I just kind of felt like, I love playing in church, but I want to take this outside of church. My nature, going out to play in different places. I fought, not fighting, but my wife couldn't stand the fact that I was playing in bars sometimes. And I said, well, you have to be the light. You can't preach to the choir all the time. I was rationalizing at my best, And so I said, well, we need to do this from a Christian perspective. Is let's take what we do in church, and because everybody there wants to hear what you have to say, but when you go outside of that and you go to play at a festival or a school, or are you talking to a group of kids at a high school, those are the ones that you want to reach. Save them years of heartache by reaching them. So we did. The band's called Counting the Day, and we've been together for over 5 years now, and a great group of people. We play together in church, we got to play. Originally, part of it was we wanted to play songs that we wanted to play versus what we were playing in church. But as we kind of gave ourselves, last year, I have to say, last year was probably one of the most tremendous years of my life. Just so many things have happened as you work through these things. I'll give you an example. Let me step back for a second before I get to last year. I wrote a song for that project 10 years ago called Stranded. And the album, it didn't fit the record at all, but it was just a song that I wrote lyrically and musically. And the story was I was right by my studio. There's this little gas station, and I'm pumping gas in my car, and there's a girl from out of town. Her car was full to the brim with clothes and furniture, and she had an infant in the back seat. And she's on the other side of the pump, and she asked me for directions. She was moving from the Carolinas to her in-laws' house, and she didn't know where she was. And I said, let me go in and let me get a map. So I tried to go in and borrow a map. They wouldn't borrow, so I had to buy the map for her. So I bought the map for her, and she told me the address, and I looked it up for her. And she says, do you think I have enough gas to get there? I said, I don't know. Let me look. She was on empty. So I said, here, let me put some gas in your car. And I got her to where she needed to go. Never saw her again, nothing. And as I'm driving away, this whole thing came to me. And so I'm thinking, I just helped somebody. More, I was feeling really good about myself, you know. So I wrote the song. The girl was stranded. She'd never, she would have run out of gas around the corner. And so the song was, the line is, you know, you don't have a dime in your pocket. You seem to be lost, not knowing where you're going, but you haven't the cost. It's not the time or place or the way to be down or the place to be down. I can't but try and help you get your feet on the ground. You're stranded. Call me anytime. You're stranded. I won't leave you on the line. I'm watching over you. Now, fast forward. I get laid off from my job on the South Shore, and I'm driving across the causeway, and I'm a father with 4 kids. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? You know, this is tough. And the song comes on in my car, my CD, and as it's playing, it's, you know, I'm listening to the lyrics of the song, and I said, boy, I'm stupid. I said, this is God telling me to call him. Call me, Jeremiah 33:3, you know, call me anytime. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm the one that's watching over you, you know. I'm going, man, he was talking to me 10 years ago. I just wasn't listening to it, you know. And so it was a song that came, I thought was about me helping somebody. It was really, he's talking to me. He's not talking to this situation. This is about my life. And so that song, you know, it's funny. My kids listen to it, and of course now they don't get it. But you know, it's a great thing because that song ministered to me and brought me to where we are today.